Oh, we didn't hear nothing.
Oh shit.
Restart? Okay. Okay. Welcome everybody to episode 71 of Overdrive, the ODRL podcast. As always, joined by Bren. What up, Bren?
Living life, open lobby chaos, right now, racing, but, enjoying myself as we go along and in the season for Premiere.
There you go. Yep. Not joined by Hendra currently. He might be joining us in a few. We'll save a seat for him when he's available. But this week we were at New Hampshire and Gateway for NXT, New Hampshire for Trucks and Premiere. Bren, how did it go for you? Overall experience for me, I think it was a fun race. The uh, the battle for the win at Premiere was interesting to watch from my point of view. Very sad that we didn't have a spectator mode for that. But I know it was a tough track for some. Obviously, Premiere is tough to pass in general. And these short tracks with no banking, not very good passing zones for these cars. But you had some people who were able to show their muscle out and pass through the field. How was your experience going into New Hampshire, and then how did it go for you?
I went into the race, actually, I planned on running my new wheel, but like an hour or two before the race, we realized that was a bad idea, so I did a quick swap. So I had to take off my whole setup, flip it around, get the shifter back up, and do that all before the race. Got some laps in on the G920 and then just ran it. Honestly, stage one, decided to save it. Finished 10th, luckily in that stage. Stage two was rough. We got trapped outside the top 10 or finished around 15th. And then the last stage, I am devastated. Pitted a little bit earlier. Had 10th, was going up to 9th. And we got a little free every now and then, and eventually it got to the point to where the 19 caught me. He got a little free, he got into me. I fell back to 13th, ended up 12th. I really needed that top 10. I know I wasn't gonna advance, but the top 10 would have been so nice after how hard New Hampshire is. You have to have so much good throttle control, and I'm devastated I didn't get a top 10. It wasn't on purpose for the 19. We were obviously all racing hard. It's sad when it happened because I would have had a top 10 and I was fighting for it. It was devastating in terms of probably my last race on my G920, so I really want to get a top 10. But all in all, solid race. I think New Hampshire, it's a preview for a race that's coming up that might be worse than it in terms of handling. It's definitely going to be an interesting one in 2 weeks. That's all I'm going to say.
It's a driver's track, man. It's one of those driver's tracks where throttle control matters, keeping that car straight matters, saving those tires matter. It was an interesting strategy stage one because you can make it a field by saving a couple laps,
Mhm.
but obviously you were at a disadvantage. I really enjoyed the strategy call because a lot of people forced everybody's hand and pitted early once they were in that fuel window. What was your thought process going into the race with that stage one when it went green and you seeing everybody pit to get that adjustments in and then make up the time? Because we saw Welpdang in the 12 really show out, pit from like 20th and then take the lead on the long run. So what was your thought process there?
Yeah, I was already in the back, so I decided very early on, just so I can get some track position, I decided to fuel save it, and I knew going in that there was a chance that the guys who pit were gonna be able to pass me, but I took the risk knowing that. I'm like, let me try to get as much track position as I can. They might not catch me, so I was able to do it. Went from 20th on back, I think, to 10th. So I'll take that. Gave me some track position, and it set me up for the rest of the night. So I felt like fuel saving for me was really good. But if you were up front, you gotta pit. You had to pit because the speed was there when you put it in setup. It was just so much quicker. It's just how good were you in traffic?
Yep, agreed. There's a lot of passing in that situation. But it was fun to watch. I was also one of the people who saved with you, just as I had nothing to lose, nothing to gain. So might as well keep it straight and just make sure I don't go a lap down in the situation. And it was fun to watch the different. It forced a lot of people's hand. You know that people didn't want to pit that early, but knowing if you stay out too long in one of the worst default setups in the game, that you were at a disadvantage because it was just too much for that default. And fresh tires with that speed is really an advantage. But I enjoyed it. I think it's a nice little short track. I think it's meant for a playoff style track when you work racers race, and throttle control is key. It's not really a cookie cutter. And everybody shut out. 12 car really has come alive. He's had 3 great races in a row, showing that he can get up there and get in that final 4, maybe run. And we'll see what happens. What's your thoughts on this 12 car Welpding and what he's doing in this playoff?
Honestly, been impressed. Really solid guy. Stein talks him up a lot. First few weeks, obviously he's been really good ever since he joined, but I feel like now he's hitting his stride. Do I think he can make the final 4? He's got a gap to make up, but I think there's a shot at it. Clearly, he's in the round of 8, and if he gets a win, he automatically locks himself in. And as we've seen lately, he's been very quick. So I can see him making the final 4. I just don't know who to eliminate, though. That'd be the interesting part.
Very true. I know this question was asked by a podcast question, but we can talk about it now since it's only us two. Who is your current Final Four prediction right now?
You go first because I'm currently driving.
Okay. I really think Stein, Sterlo, obviously 1A, 1B, 1A, 1B there. And I think Cobra has the consistency. And then we'll see about this Whelp thing. Something about him just tells me that he's getting better and better. And I don't think we can, Talladega's a wild card. So that one spot can be somebody who you wouldn't expect. But we'll find out. It's going to be very interesting. I would say Welpdang right now is my final 4. I think Cobra would be the one in ILM with Stein. I know Carrot's up there in play as well. So it's going to be very interesting. How about your 4?
I think just based off of playoff points is what really carrying Stein and Sterler right now, because they have a lot of playoff points over the cutoff line. So those two are, I think, unless they finish outside the top 20 in 2 races or outside the top 20 in 1 race, I feel like they're pretty much a lock for the final 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the third spot, I think it will go to Cobra. I just think his consistency this season has been really good. And then I can't really look at the list, and I know who's in there. I think Line Cone or Welpdang is going to make the final 4. It's going to be one of those two, unless we get a wild card winner. Because I could see a guy like K-Therms showing out one of these weeks, because we saw him get a pull at was it Darlington? I think it was Darlington.
Darlington, I think it was.
He has speed, and we've seen it this season. It's just for the guys below the cutoff line right now, it hasn't been. I mean, they've had speed. We've seen Carrot have speed every week. It's just, can they bring the consistency enough to be able to get into the final 4? It's really a matter of just consistency. I mean, if they win, they're pretty much locked in. Diego's going to be fun because...
we got the 8 drivers we got to advance to Stein, Sterlo, Carrot, Cobra, Line Cone, Welpdang, Sean, K-Therms, Romeo. No, I'm sorry, Romeo not. K-Therms was the final in the 8. So that would that's the 8. Yeah, that heartbreaker. That's 3 different playoff scenarios decided by the playoff tiebreaker. That's wild. We had 3 of them. That was wild. There was a tie in all 3 series to break a tie by playoff points. I believe all 3 of them were playoff points was the tiebreaker. And that's what K-Therms got to advance, so that was wild. But yeah, it was a great race. Shout out to that 12. He dominated for the most part. I know K4 made his premier debut and really gave him a run for his money with those final 5 laps, and was at the quarter panel, and he tried so hard that final lap, and then just ate the inside wall, going for nothing except stealing a checkered flag from somebody. And that's what you do. You did very good, though. It was a very good, fun race. I really enjoyed it. Excited to see what the future tracks will bring. As you mentioned, the track coming up, that's going to be even more tougher when it comes to throttle control and looseness type stuff. That would be Richmond, I do believe you're referring to. So it's going to be very interesting. But we'll move on to NXT. They went to Gateway this week, so it was a little less tamed, little more tamed, than Premiere when it came to the looseness of the cars and handling. I know you weren't able to watch it, but I'll just give my thoughts on it. Very good race overall. It's a tough track. It's not one of the greatest short tracks. But everybody did a great job with it. Only had one caution. It was fun to watch. The cream rose to the top. We had a rookie, one going 1-2 newcomers with as we mentioned K4 going into Premiere for that first race, and then Copper Spy was also is it Cooper or Copper? He
Sure,
he had a
Copper.
nice he got Copper. And then he took the checker flag on this one, and it was a really good race overall. It was a very fun short track. A lot of strategy calls, 2 tires, no tire type decisions that had to be made, and took that checkered flag and made sure that playoff stayed as tight as it was, and going into the next round should be very interesting. With that final round being, let's see who's in the final F8 round. We have Tyreek, obviously, Iron Man, Taterhead, NLS, Lyle, Irish,
Anyone else made it?
Banjo, and Dusty. So that's a legit 8 drivers who are going to win a championship. Should be very interesting. Do you have any thoughts on that final 8, that round of 8 going into that next round before we go to Talladega next week?
It's gonna be fun. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's gonna be fun. Like, yeah, it's
I
gonna be
haven't been
chaos.
watching NXT like that. I haven't watched
It's
NXT like that this
It's
season.
well,
I'm
it's hard
sorry.
to.
I've been
It's
watching
hard to.
trucks. I
Okay. All
apologize.
right, then
I've been
I'm
watching
gonna.
trucks.
All right. I'll give you some. I'll give you some pop quiz on trucks in a minute.
Oh
Um.
no.
But very good
Amen.
race overall. I'm happy for it. I'm happy about it. They cleaned their mess up for after Darlington, and it was a fun one. Not the greatest track in the game compared to short track racing, and plus the Cup cars aren't the greatest. But they did what they had to do, kept the car straight. Not many issues, and shout out to Copper Spy for that victory. Then we go to trucks. They were at New Hampshire. They had the same issues as Cup, as Premier, but um, there's a lot of drama in this one. There's a lot of drama in the end of
Oh
this
yeah,
one.
up front.
This was a drama-filled final 5 laps. We heard the result of it after the race.
Yeah, I was
Brian, what was
wondering what
your opinion?
happened.
What was your opinion on this? What do you know about this drama,
I
and
mean,
what happened there?
all I know, I mean, the only thing that I saw relatively on stream was that Georgia did help Holy win it, but I mean, they were pulling away together, and then Georgia just couldn't keep up, so he just decided to let Holy win it and was able to hold on to second. So I mean, other than that, I don't see any drama. That's all I really saw on stream. Just guys who were on fresh tires trying to get around Georgia. If they were able to get around him, they may have won the race, but Georgia was there and he held him up. That's really all I saw.
Yeah, I think it was looked at much differently than what you're saying right now. I think it was looked at by his team owner and other people saying that there's a lot of race manipulation on his part. We understand that Holy is his driver. So what do you weigh out the winners and losers here? Do you go for the win yourself, or do you get your driver into the next round by winning, because he's on that in or not cut line? So it's one of those things. I think it was viewed as definitely letting up, and he got put slightly in the wall. But even his admission after a couple of days was, yes, I let off. I didn't go for it because he had the best car all night, or truck, you'd say. He had the best truck all night. If Holy passed him. He definitely had the car to get up there and pass him again. And it looked like he didn't do it. He let off a lot. He let off at more points than he did on the last run. So it was definitely viewed as that way. And it happens. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's wrong about it. That's other people's decision to make. I didn't. It's a very cutthroat thing where you really can't penalize race manipulation in that factor. It's very hard for even NASCAR himself to we're letting off for somebody else to win because as long as you're not impacting others. Because if he wrecks somebody to keep Holy, to get Holy to win, and then wreck somebody else, wreck somebody intentionally, that's one thing. That's affecting another. That's affecting the race. But letting somebody go and not affecting others, it really can't be done. I think all team owners would argue that, saying, they would help their driver when it mattered the most, right there, especially in a playoff atmosphere. So that's what it was looked at. It's a really
Oh my
touchy
God.
subject.
I'm having the race of my life with slide jump. I don't know why.
But yeah, it was a good race overall, though. No many issue. We went caution free. So very proud of truck drivers for going caution free at a tough New Hampshire track where you can go around it instantly. The funniest part of the race, sadly, I know this is a little bashing here, but it's not really bashing. But the funny aspect of it, we have a rookie driver named Mopar coming in to the truck
Oh
series,
no, not him.
and we had
Already.
a funny moment where he celebrated at 2 to go that he was very happy about getting a top 10 finish.
No way.
His second race, he was a rookie year. He was 10th. That
Oh my
guy
God.
ended up spinning on the final turn into the barrels, going into the pits, going from 10th to 17th. And the way he reacted to that, it's probably the most funniest thing I've been in a VC with it. It was heartbreaking for him, but it was just a hilarious moment about celebrating too early, not not focusing on one more lap to go, and spinning
I did
out
not know
into the
this.
barrels. Yep, messed up a
I did
top
not
10
know this.
finish because he
That's why he
spun.
said that in our truck chat. I was wondering what
Yeah.
he meant. Okay, that is
What did
very
he say?
interesting.
What did he say per
I'm a
se?
laughing stock of the team now.
Yep.
Honestly, I did not know that. But in the first place,
Oh,
he's not the
oh,
laughing
pop
stock.
quiz. I watch Truck Series. Huh? I watch Truck Series.
Okay, to be fair, I watched two of my guys. I watched what's his name? Pumps. He drove from the rear of
Yeah.
the field up
His
front,
name.
had some good speed, had tires, was catching the leaders, and then I saw Lefty throughout the night. He got wrecked early in stage 2 and was able to move through the field. Happy that those two got top 10s. I saw Mopar throughout the night run top 10, top 5-ish range, top 10 to top
Uh-huh.
15. I also was able to watch some other guys signing. He really struggled. Tried the fuel strategy, did not work out. He saved too much in stage 1. Other than that, I mean, we saw the guys that are up front. Georgia had really good speed, and like you said, whether or not that was race manipulation, it doesn't really matter. I think in general he was trying to pull away, and I think they did the job. They pulled away from other guys on the same strategy, so
Mm-hmm.
they were doing what they needed to, especially for a guy like Holy. He needs these wins, and it locks him
Mm-hmm.
into the next round. So for Georgia to help him out like that, I mean, non-playoff guys usually help their teammates if they can, and that's
Yeah,
exactly what
but
he
the
did.
issue is
So,
he wasn't a team. He's technically not a teammate. Georgia drives
yeah, that is
for
true.
driver drives for ILM.
Hmm.
Holy is his driver. So it's one of
That's
those
why it can
things.
be
If you're
controversial.
Denny Hamlin, would Denny Hamlin let Bubba or Tyler Reddick win a race by letting off, or would he go for the win himself? But
And that's something that.
in the end, his team owner gave him the boot. He got fired from the place he calls home,
Mhm.
no longer home. So as as was said, pack your bags and get the hell out because it's no longer your home. Now he has to find a new place to enjoy and new place to call home, and we'll see what happens next season now that he's co-owning a team with me in 715 Motorsports. So interested to see. But we'll move on to podcast questions here. We got a couple good ones here. Not there's some normal ones that we won't answer because we kind of did already. Um, But let me get to these. Where is it? There we go. Um, what do you think is the biggest play? Who do you think is the best playoff riser in each series? I will answer first. For the lower series, just because. I would say Holy, obviously for trucks. I would say NXT is probably Banjo. I think Banjo has a real. I think it's Banjo is coming into himself in this game, and he's doing great. I think he's been the greatest playoff riser for NXT. Who was yours in Premier, Bren?
You know, if Romeo did actually get in, I would have said
Yeah,
him, but it was going to be Romeo and Welp, and well, Welp
yeah.
made it in, and
Okay.
Romeo did not, unfortunately, with the tiebreaker. So I'm going to say Welp. Even though we already knew he was already good, and he started late and got in the playoffs, we didn't know he was going to be this good this early. And the fact that he was able to get a win finally showed it, and it's going to build on top of great runs. So I would say Welp is definitely the playoff performer. Oh my God. Okay, never mind. I am backing out of this lobby. I am
All
done.
right. And our final podcast question. This is a big one. This could be a good discussion point here. What does Stein's nine? I'm sorry. Hold on. How will the recent trade impact Thunderbolt, ILM, and 715 Motorsports, and who got the better end of those trades? So, if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock in the server,
Every
the
trade.
trades have been ILM has traded Stein for next season for NLS and Tyreek to be in Premier. So 1-for-2 trade there. I think some other things were in play as well for like draft pick or whatever, but that's the broader. And then the other trade is the 715 trade of Taterhead to go to TBR, Thunderbolt Racing, for a truck driver in Zay. Um, so yeah, those are the two trades. Well, who came away? I would say as a personal, because I'm a part of the 715. I don't think we came away with a winner there. I don't think it was a win. I don't think it was a win for us either way. But we weren't going to be the team to hold somebody wanting to leave. Tater had made it clear that he wanted to leave by going to another team owner and asking for them to trade him. And we're not gonna like sit there and hold him to a hostage and say bye. If anybody wants to have that headache, go right ahead. Enjoy the headache. He's a popular, not a really popular driver, but he's a
Oh,
he's
he's
a
definitely popular in some
well-known.
sense.
He's a name. I would say he's a driver with a name. So let him have his rookie year in Premier. See how he does. No hard
Oh,
feelings.
dude.
Let him go. No hard feelings with us. We'll brainstorm and get better as we can and see what happens there. I think between the ILM and Thunderbolt trade, that's the tough one because you're trading a top 4 driver currently for 2
For
rookies
development.
coming in and going into a premier ride and going to one of the top 2 premier rides. I understand that Tyreek might be an affiliated driver and he might not be the big 4 of the team, but might be the 5th one out and maybe if one falters of the 4, then he gets that slot with his performance and have to get ILM to make the play for him into the team to help team. But what was your opinion there? I don't know. I really don't know. It's gonna be. I would say right now the look is ILM the losing because they lose a top 4 driver who can win them a championship year after year. But you don't really know how NLS or Tyreek's going to do in Premier. They're really great in NXT, and they're really fast in Cup cars. Um, so I'm gonna be interested. I don't know. What's your opinion?
I think it's mainly just been it's been ILM, TVR, and then a team that Georgia owns that have been trading lately with
Mhm.
TBR. It's been mostly those two teams making moves, and this is a lateral move. I think they already had this plan beforehand. I feel like ILM has always wanted Tyreek again. They lost him in the offseason last season, and they got Stein on their team now. So I feel like this move, I think it makes TBR better and ILM better for the future, but for next season, I think it makes them a little bit worse. They're obviously going to have guys who are going to take lumps to develop in the Premier Series. It's going to take NOS a few races to get used to. I know he won Michigan, but Michigan is obviously a different kind of track, and I think he'll be good in the series. And then obviously Tyreek is fast and quick when he gets his opportunities, but obviously he's had some internet issues. But I feel like when he's run Premier this season, he's been a top 10, top 15 guy. So I think he's got the speed to run Premier, and I feel the same about NOS. It's just they're rookies. Obviously Stein has already been in the series for a while, and I feel like if they would have kept him, they would have been obviously, you know how it is. Like this season, they've been good, but I feel like they wanted to switch things up to be obviously for the future and hopefully compete for the team championship next season. I think that
Yep.
was their goals for both the teams to get them both better. But I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting.
And working together with an alliance swipe might help them if Stein can be able to use the strategies still of ILM and use their their knowledge together as they've been doing all year and working together. It will be a huge plus. It might be a huge plus for the Thunderbolt guys as well. So we'll see what happens there. But I agree.
Hey,
It's very interesting. It's a one. We don't know. Two drivers are greater than one, but is the 1A driver better than the both other drivers? We really don't know until we see it long story played out. So it's going to be very interesting.
I got a question for you, Mets.
What's your question?
So with ILM and in general them making moves, what do you think they're trying to switch up for next season, all things considered? Because we've had some teams recently that have been pretty dominant in each series. I'm not going to say anything, but NXT wise, I think they've been pretty good in NXT. It's been a mixed bag in the series, but overall they still win quite a lot. But I feel like they want to get back to the team championship ways. What do you think they're doing differently for the next few seasons compared to the past?
I think knowing Nick like I know him, Iron Man, my co-owner of the league, and him running ILM, I think he took a different approach to the trucks and that NXT this year because not knowing NASCAR 25. I think he built a team for the Xfinity cars in NXT, and then going to Cup cars really hurt that. A la T Stone, I think he's much better in Xfinity cars than he is in a Cup car. I think Yeti's also another one who's better in
Yes, he
Xfinity
is.
cars in Cup cars. So I think that really hurt him in terms of NXT. And I think trucks, he went with his heart more than skill because of the truck series designed to be developmental. So if you built it off speed, you had the chance of losing those guys because they're going to go called up to the NXT series because if you were good enough to be in NXT, you were going to get called up to NXT. No questions asked, as we saw from a couple of people, as Tyreek was one of those guys. So if you went off of speed immediately, it was a touchy subject. So he went off, his heart. He went off former ILM drivers. He went like people who were really going to show up every week, and it didn't really have the results for it. I think going into next season, really think he built it off people who are going to perform, but not really necessarily perform to the point where they might get called up immediately. Like some people will probably be on that be in that light of being okay. Maybe they don't belong in trucks and need to get called up. It'll be tougher in trucks now because now that we have ARCA, the Grand National Series, that will be the developmental series, and then you move up to the truck series, which will be tougher, and then the NXT will be definitely tougher, and then we have the Premier Series is the toughest of all of them. So it'll be tougher to move up from trucks now, so you can relax a little bit and know, okay, I have a championship contender here that's not going to go anywhere because they're not going to get called up to NXT because of how good NXT roster is, how NXT is projected to have a good roster, and then I think Trucks has a better roster than NXT currently. But it's not nobody's like on the point of like, okay, we don't know if they're going to be called up or not. I don't think anybody stands out to say they're going to get called up. You have a Master Killer, former Premier Champion, on that list, but I don't know if he's going to be like necessarily dominating every week. He has struggles every week, every other week. I Trip is somebody who might not get called. He might be on the list of being called up. He fixed his wheel issues that he had, similar to Cowboys and Premier. Earlier in the season, I Trip has having issues spinning out by himself and then sitting in the middle of the track while cars are coming, and that issue, and then got sent to NXT, and then he sent to Trucks. Won in Trucks' first race in dominating fashion, so he could be in that list. I'm trying to think of anything else. I don't think SRG has the willpower to put the effort in to dominate races, but we'll see. I've been wrong before. I'll admit that. I've been totally wrong before, and people prove me otherwise. They also unknown to Pumps. Right now, he might be listening to this, he might not, but everything goes good Saturday. His suspension will be lifted. I understand he can't race Sunday, so that doesn't help, but maybe Monday.
Oh shit.
We can give another race Monday.
That would be interesting.
And then we'll see. Depending on how Saturday goes for him. Still want to see what he can do and not put any pressure. No promises, because that's not just my decision. That's all admin decision there, because that fuck up he had was really a good fuck up, and it's really hard to come back from that. But he's been on a good term since then. He understands what he did wrong, and see what he can do. Can't promise that he's gonna be approved to be a GRM guy in Premier. I can't promise that he'll be on anybody's team. I think fairness will say he's going to be associated with GRM in some way if he's approved for Premier. Can't really promise it's going to be a team aspect, but it could be an affiliate car aspect. So We'll find out. There's nothing set in stone, but we'll see what happens this week. Talladega is a track where you're not really worried about somebody. He has history at play tracks in ODRL, in Premier, in NXT, so I'm not really too worried about him doing that. So a race, subtracting a race from that suspension is not that big of a deal when it's Talladega. And then see what he does for the rest of the season, getting approved for this, getting approved for that. Make sure he does not impact a series playoff like he did at Darlington with that last caution. So we'll see. That's nothing promised yet, but that's one of the big things here after that trade and seeing what happens there. But we'll move on. Not much of a preview because it's Talladega. We know what Talladega is. Could be a lot. We don't mean this is our first plate race with ×2. Our first race in general in NASCAR 25 with ×2. So I think you'll have less fuel mileage issues. You're still going to have fuel mileage.
Extra lap times.
Because you want to spend less time on pit road. And the less time you spend on pit road will help your track position. So there's still going to be some of that. It's not going to be as much as you saw at Daytona, because that was really off throttle issues. Really off throttle checking up. That was really an issue. So I think it's better for this. I think there's a little saving in the Truck Series, which I'm fine with. I think you'll need to save two laps in the trucks at the end of the run in stage 3. Stage 1 and 2 is no issue because you have 11 laps of fuel and 10 laps on the stage, so it's not going to be an issue. It's really just stage 3 you got to be mindful of. Not hard to save 2 laps at a plate track, especially in the trucks, so it should be fine. I'm looking forward to it. It's our last plate race of the year. It's a big one. It's playoff implications. We'll start with the trucks tonight because it's only just 2. Who is your pick for trucks Talladega, and who is your dark horse?
My main pick this week, I'm gonna go with You know what? I think he builds off of momentum from the round of 8. I think he got a momentous win that he really needed, and he had another good run last week at New Hampshire. I think Pumps gets it done. Solid speed. Obviously, I don't think super speedways are his strong suit. We've heard him in the chat sometimes talk about it, but overall, if you can just I don't want to say that. If you can make moves, shake and bake, as I like to say, he should be near the front. My dark horse for a track like Talladega, I'm gonna go with someone who's underrated at super speedways. There's I don't know, man. I have to go back to the first race of the season. Who ran very
Sure.
well at the first race
I
of the
got a I
season?
got an
That
easy pick for you. I have an easy pick, but I'm gonna take it. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you.
I'm gonna go with if he runs, Big Sean is my dark horse.
Okay. All right. All right. You said Big Sean is your dark horse. Did you have a main pick? I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
It was Pumps.
Okay. So you have Big Sean and then Pumps as your main one. All right.
hmm I know.
I'm gonna go. My main pick. Actually, no. I'm not gonna make him my main pick because I'm gonna say my main pick as a playoff driver. I'm gonna go. My main pick is the easy one, who has the most track record on graboid package, most track record on plate tracks in
Oh,
this league. Been there for a long, long time. I think he's gonna go back to back here. I think Holy Divine is gonna get that checkered flag at Talladega. He's used to it. I think this setup, the way this game does plate racing now, it's definitely improved from Heat 5, and I think it suits his runs, his aggressiveness when it needs to run, very similar to a Iron Man. I think he's the Pied Piper of the Truck Series when it comes to run. I think his only issue might be ghosting. He is one who can ghost out of nowhere and have that issue. But I'm gonna go wholly there. And then my dark horse is going to be somebody who I think is really going to win the race. And this is actually my number one here, and I think it's going to be Cowboy Tech. I think Cowboy Tech has learned this package. I think he's been one of the great plate track racers we've had, and I think he comes away with this victory. I think if the right place, the right time, also somebody who's on the wheel who can save a little bit more. So if he needs to save a little more, especially spends less time on pit road, he'll have a nice track position. I think his only crutch is he needs to do the graboid package and not I wouldn't say cheat. I would not break that rule, and I think he'll get
yep.
away with the checkered flag. He got a checker flag taken away from him a couple weeks in the All Star League because of the graboid package and not always forgetting that you can't push that leader on the bottom. But if he does that and maybe get some help behind him too, making a pass, I think he can. I think he can get the win. I think he's my number one pick this week. Um, but yeah, we're gonna go. Unless producer has a pick. I know he's sick, so I don't think he has a pick this week. Um, you got one? Dupro. Okay. Okay. Um, should be a fun one. I enjoy the trucks. I really can't wait. I know this is not a place to rant if I'm not ranting about NXT, but next season I just can't come soon enough. It just can't. I love this season. It's been a great season on all three series, but the racing has been fantastic. But getting back to four different vehicles actually, and finally getting to four different vehicles and having the differences in the vehicles, it's where going from NXT to Premiere on a Sunday to Monday is so draining. It's so when you go to the same track, 50% races both nights. It's so draining. Um, and it gets to that point where you look forward to those Saturdays because a different track. It's more or less it's less
Cars.
aggressive. It's less, it's more fun. It's late at night. We're having fun. Less. It's a better atmosphere than you go NXT where it's all everybody trying to get to Premiere and egos and having to go to Cup cars and then that kind of stuff. So I just cannot wait
He
to get back
caused
to
it.
Xfinity. Getting back to Xfinity and NXT. Not never going back to Cup cars. I'll tell you that right now. Never going to Cup cars again for NXT. They are getting Xfinity cars,
Bro.
and they're gonna get removed from the server, get removed from those series. That's it. It's no more. We'll cut it down to 16 people if we have to. I don't care. It's not going different cars anymore. I gave you them that leash. They proved they can do it in Cup cars. They gotta prove it they can do it in Xfinity cars. The Xfinity series was to help them do that. Not having enough people show up for the Xfinity series as it was intended for them is disappointing. So there's no excuses. We gave them everything. If you don't show up, I'll tell you this: the people who show up for the Xfinity series on Saturday night, we'll get more rope that get mistakes than the people who never showed up for the Xfinity series. I can tell you that. Because at least they put the time and effort into getting the Xfinity cars and getting right for the Xfinity cars. Staying away from short tracks is definitely going to be huge at the beginning of the season. Obviously, went to Iowa week 2 this year. It wasn't the greatest thing, and then The Rock was week 4. It wasn't a good formula for
Get him
success
settled
for that
in.
cars. Plus, it was beginning of the game. New car.
Yeah, I would say
We're just
that.
getting used to setups. Everybody trying to run 45 wedge, thinking speed is speed with 45 wedge. So hopefully they can get more. I have high hopes. We'll see. I'm still, the jury's still out, but I have high hopes. We're not going back to any other car for NXT besides Xfinity cars. Hopefully they get this shit together or get the hell out, in my opinion. All right, we'll move on to NXT now. Who is your pick for NXT Talladega? No really difference here. A little longer race, obviously, being in Cup cars. I think the stages are 30, 30, and then 34, I think, believe, something like that. So nothing major. Fuel strategy, I think 17 laps of fuel, so it's not like anybody's going to save 13 laps of fuel and make it to the end. So you're definitely going to have to pit, depends on who saves maybe in the pit or the pit stop if we go green. Who's your pick for NXT Talladega?
Talladega. I'm going with an easy pick. Someone who's won at a lot of super speedways. He knows how to coordinate at him. I'm going with Ironman.
Yep. Pied
He
Piper,
won.
keep going.
He won Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
and he had the help of his teammate Lost, who's going to be my
Yep.
dark horse. So
Okay,
those
good
two are
one.
my picks.
Good one. I like that pick. I definitely like that pick. All right. So I'm gonna go. You took the great pick here. I'm gonna go the person who's on the inside, second row. Why during Atlanta? Why Ironman won that Echo Park race? And I'm gonna go Impact. That's my no. I'm gonna say Dark Horse Impact because I can do that now with him being out of the playoffs. And then my main pick is going to be. This is tough. This is tough. There's a lot of good ones here. I'm gonna go NLS. I think NLS has a great history at these play track. I think he's adapted to the Graboid package quicker than most people. I think he understands it. I think he knows when runs come, when not to hit the bumper, when to, not cheat a little bit, but understand when to get close to that bumper when the run is coming on the outside. Also knows when to pit, also knows when to go to the top and run a little bit and get that strategy down pat and do the best he can there. So I think he's going to be my pick for Talladega for NXT. How about you, Mr. Producer? What do you have? Okay. I like that pick. I like that pick. All right, let's get to Premiere. First race of round of 8 here. I think it's the best one. Premiere roster suits Talladega. It suits plate racing in this game. It suits everything we love about it. We saw it in the end of the NXT Daytona. That was the Premiere Daytona at the regular season finale. We were 3 wide. 8 rows deep for 4 to 5 laps in that race. I know I had an issue with the bottom line. In fact, a couple issues here and there, but Talladega can also be that 3 wide aggressiveness. Take that
Way
run
wider. Way
way
wider.
wider, way wider. It wouldn't be shocked if 4 wide happens. It can be done to protect those. All I ask is for them to protect those quarter panels because you obviously know what the bubble. It's all, but we weren't able to hear your picks, by the way. Your mic wasn't included.
Awesome.
He picked
I
Impact
fixed
though.
it.
He picked Impact and he picked
Do Prime.
Dupron
trucks.
for his truck picks. His truck pick was Duprime. His NXT pick was Impact. But yep, this I think this roster sets itself up for greatness when it comes to plate racing. Same laps as NXT. So I think Premier will be watching NXT very closely, as Brent should be watching NXT very closely, because it impacts you, and you can see what strategy to do here.
I guess. I mean,
I
Sterling's
mean,
gotta be watching that. I mean, I'm gonna be watching it. Obviously, I'm gonna be watching that truck race because I got 2 of my guys in the final 8, so I'm happy about
true,
that.
very true. Who was your pick for Premier? Talladega.
I'm gonna go simple here. Someone who I know is very hungry, and he doesn't have to win to make it into the round of 4, but I think he would want to get it done very early. I'm going with Sterlo. This is a refresh week for him, so he gets to rest a bit, and I think this is the week where I think he's take the gloves off. Feel like the last round
Okay.
there were some tracks that really didn't suit his driving style, and I feel like this week he's gotten to a round where I feel like he's gonna kind of dominate a little bit. So I'm going with him at Talladega, and then my dark horse, someone who's been honestly, if that tiebreaker fell his way, I feel like Romeo. He would have had a run at it. He was on the same track as Welp. He had a really good round of 12 after Darlington, and I feel like he's gonna carry the momentum in the Talladega, and he has a shot at the win. So he's gonna be my dark horse.
Say your dark horse again. I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit.
Dark horse is Romeo because of the momentum he
Romeo, gotcha.
had.
I like that
If
one.
he got
Yep.
in, I think he would have been contender.
I
It's just
agree. I
unfortunate.
definitely agree. So Sterlo and Romeo is your pick there. I'm gonna go. Who was my dark horse here? Romeo was gonna be my dark horse there, so it's very interesting. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Bren as my dark horse, and I'm gonna go Cobra as my main pick here. No, not Cobra. No, I don't think he has it. I don't think he's good enough. I'm gonna go Carrot. I think Carrot's the better ILM driver when it comes to a plate racing. And I'm sure I'll get the clip. I'm sure that'll get clipped and shared by the ILM drivers, but I'll
Very
be here.
much.
I'm going Carrot. I think Carrot has the plate racing fortitude to get it done there. So Carrot, and my dark horse is Bren. I think Bren. Obviously, I think you'll be in line with Sterlo going for it. I think if you're leading that pack when it comes to the final lap, I think your aggressive blocks could hold you, and you could get it. How about you, Insolbo? Who's your pick to win Premier
Well,
Talladega?
you took my pick. I was going to go with Carey, but my line of thinking here is you got to have a certain level of aggressiveness in order to win these type of races. And someone that's semi-aggressive but also really fast, I ain't going to say they're super aggressive, is going to be Welp Ding. That'd probably be my pick to win.
Oh, going back. Okay, all right. If he wins Talladega and puts himself in that Final Four, that whole Final Four gets shaken up really, really bad. That Final Four is like, okay, we have to battle, and it's gonna be very, very. This is the round. It's gonna be very, very interesting, especially if you get a Welpdang, somebody from outside the top 4
Kate
who
Thermsman
would be
wouldn't
quote
be
unquote
crazy.
favorite. Kate Therms is also. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm like really looking forward to this weekend. I know plate racing can be quote unquote cookie cutter, or I'm not into that camp where I think it's really skill based, especially for a grab weight package. Really skill based, finding the people to work with, strategy when it comes to pitting, strategy when it comes to getting off pit road together. just like real life, except we won't have as much fuel saving to do as NASCAR does in real life, in my opinion. I could be totally wrong about that, but we'll see. But it's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a great week, I believe. Trucks will set it off Friday night, 11 p.m. Eastern. It should be a fun one. Catch those onboards. Should be fun. NXT Sunday night, 9:30 Eastern. Check those onboards. Wish we had some spectator modes, but until the next game, not right now. And then Monday premiere. The great guys will show up and get that Talladega race going and see who can advance into the round of 4 if it's possible. Or it's just going to be somebody stealing that checkered flag and getting that playoff shake up and playoff points going forward before next week. So it should be very fun. For Bren, for Insoluble, appreciate Insoluble for producing. Appreciate Brent being here. Hate that we didn't have Hendrick here this week, but I hope everything's going good with him. But should be fun. Appreciate everybody listening for episode 71 of Overdriven, the ODRL podcast. And we'll be here next week talking about the Talladega winners. Maybe we'll get a guest in here. Maybe we'll get a shocking winner, have a new guest. So that should be very fun. And we'll see. All right, everybody, have a great night. Thanks for listening on Playback. And catch y'all next week. And we're out.